a circle or something on the end of the grid, and that's so I can move the duplicated grid over, because sometimes selecting the line can be hard, especially if the lines are really thin and really tiny. But also, that is why I lock the photo. Welcome back to my channel. We are going to go over the process before I get started in painting a photo or illustration. So the first thing is I set my document. It's usually 10 by 10 and it's 150 megapixels or pixels per inch. And I can show you right here. Go to image size, typical settings that I use. And as I get more detailed, I either blow up or resize or increase the size of the painting so that I can paint with more pixels, or I increase the size of the actual document. What I do is go in and type in just maybe 170, and that'll be enough. So that's what I usually do when I start to get real detailed and when I'm in kind of my final stages of the painting. So that is the way that you set up your document before you start painting. Now the next thing is I import the photo, and it typically has its own layer. And if I want to maintain the quality of the photo, like when it first comes into the document, it'll be this big. You can right click on the layer settings and you can go and convert it to smart object, which means it won't lose its quality whether you shrink it or bring it back to its original size. So, yeah, double click on it to confirm the size that I want it. And what I do is lock it so that I don't accidentally paint over the photo. And yeah, and it stays on its own layer. I usually put on the left side, and on the right side is when I start to put the grid, or that's where I start to paint on that side, on the right side. And yeah, that's the way I import the photo. Now, the second thing that I do is I want to draw a grid. So what I do is create a new layer, and I name this layer grid. And you can even say grid on photo, because you're going to have more than one grid. And after you name it, what you can do now is pick a hard brush, and you're going to use the regular brush, not the mixer brush tool. And you go to the hard brush and you make it a small size or a little bit big so that you can at least see the line. And what I typically do, you can create your own type of grid. There's no right way to do this, because you're going to copy this grid anyway. So choose a color, one that you can see, and you hold shift and go horizontally, and then you click, hold shift and go vertically down or up. And you also want to make sure that your opacity is up on your brush, and you just go all the way around it. And then you can divide this grid, you can divide the photo any way that you wish. And what I do is go in and just draw a couple of boxes. And sometimes I use like different parts like this. If there's a little more detail or something that may be hard to draw accurately, I put extra lines in different places. And that's how I do it. Now, I do put a circle or something on the end of the grid, and that's so I can move the duplicated grid over, because sometimes selecting the line can be hard, especially if the lines are really thin and really tiny. But also, that is why I lock the photo, so that you won't have to, so you won't accidentally touch the photo. Alright, now we're going to duplicate the grid. So there's 4 ways. The first way is to drag the grid, layer down to the new layer button at the bottom on the layers panel. Now the second way is to Control J. That's another way. Now there is another way. You can right click on the layer and go to duplicate layer, and it's going to be on the same document, and there you go. Now the other way is to hold Alt, and you see these 2 arrows. You can actually duplicate this way. And it does the same thing. So this is how you start drawing from any reference, from objects to, well, photos of objects and photos of people. This is how you start every drawing with the grid. So give it a try. And if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.